Welcome back to Mestemission. And I am here with my other Lindsay, and we
Yeah.
have tried to record this podcast 27
How many
times
times?
because I know, because kids, life, snow, ice, dogs, the whole
Yep.
nine, you name it. But I am super excited today to hear a little bit about her Mestemission, how she became a business owner, and kind of what that journey looked like for her. So
Mhm.
God willing, we have finally gotten to this point. So I am so excited to hear your Mestemission story.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you for having me on. And we actually spell our names the same, which,
Yes, that's how we
like,
knew it was fate.
yes, that's how I feel exactly right.
Mhm.
It's the right way. But I'm
Yep.
so honored to be on.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here. I haven't really done, I know this sounds like creepy, but like a ton of research into kind of like your
Mhm.
offerings or things like that. Like you and I connected for your podcast, which we will
You
absolutely
did.
promote, but I want to kind of hear a little bit about just your journey as into marketing and a business owner and all the
Mhm.
things.
Awesome. Okay. So without going on and boring everyone to death with all the details, because I won't give my age, but the career side of things goes back quite a ways. I have been in the marketing slash journalism space from basically the very beginning since getting out of college. And I ended up in a really exciting corporate career. This was probably 10 years ago that I got into that in the marketing department, started out as a copywriter and got promoted 3 times in 4 years, ended up sales marketing director, fast-paced company, Inc. 500, expanding across the US. And I was really honestly thriving and doing great. And at the same time, I'm having my first baby about a year into this job. I was the first person in the marketing department to get pregnant, have a baby. My boss looked at me like, I don't know what to do with you because no one had experienced that before in the marketing department. Everybody I felt like was not quite at that stage of life yet. So I was
Yes.
navigating that within the corporate space, trying to also figure out how is this even supposed to look? And literally like putting my 6-week-old baby in daycare because I had run out of maternity leave already and lugging all of my pumping supplies into the office with me, making apologies about 3 times during the workday, going to pump. It was not very comfortable or ideal. And I know
Yes.
a lot of women, moms have that same scenario. And it's tricky in the moment. But when you really break down what that day to day experience is like, it's pretty tough. And you're the one trying to help your boss, help your team navigate around this big personal change in your life, however that looks. And so that was my corporate experience several years back, but I charged through and I really kind of thrived in the role regardless. But at the same time, I was feeling like, wow, I've got this tiny baby and I'm only seeing her a few hours a week. And to add to that, something just a little bit more specific to me and my personal situation is my husband is a church pastor, and we've always been very involved in church. And so for me, the weekends were also heavy with ministry, with church life, with supporting him, with also wanting to be involved there, but realizing like I also have this full time job and this new baby at home and just trying to figure all of that out. It was like several layers deep
Yeah, that's a lot of
into,
juggling.
yeah, into my experience with that part of my career. So, what ended up happening was 2019, I'd been asking for more flexibility and a little bit more like hybrid situation with work, asking for that on behalf of my whole team. And it just, wasn't really happening. And so I had been doing some freelancing in addition to my corporate career, kind of had some clients on the side and realized I really enjoy this. I really enjoy freelancing, serving people kind of in my own way at my own pace. And that led to me feeling confident and empowered to go ahead and leave corporate and launch my own marketing agency. So I did that in 2019, halfway through the year. And ironically, like 6 months later, that entire marketing team that I left was working remote because of COVID.
I know. I was like waiting for you to say that. I was like, you left 6 months too early, sis. You would have
Oh
been at the
my
house.
gosh. The irony is just bonkers to me. So I love to throw that in there because I'm like, this is the way the world shifted
Hmm.
in the favor of so many people that had, like me, who had been fighting for this for years and been saying our type of job can be done from home. We do not have to be in the office full time. This doesn't make any sense. And trying to talk to leadership in that company environment like that. And then, fast forward just not even very much time and we're it's like the proof is now there. Um, that's a whole soapbox from me. Like, don't even get me started on the whole debate over should people work remote? Should they do hybrid? Should they always be in the office? I could talk about that all day long. And personally, I am a fan of, hey, like, I think I am actually pro hybrid if it can work out. But I'm also very aware that, like, you got a mature person in the seat. They can also be fully remote. So, anyways, we won't go too far down that rabbit hole.
No, I agree with you. I think it also depends on the personality and the type of worker that you have,
Yes.
200%, because you can
Yeah.
get me in an environment at my house and I can knock out hour after hour after. Granted, no ice storms and NTI. I can crank through some productivity. However, you can also put me in a workplace and I'm a yapper.
Mhm.
So if I have somebody that I can yap with, and that's less productivity because I'm invested over here. So
So
hybrid,
true.
it really depends. There's an ebb and flow on what needs to be done and how quickly or efficiently I can get it done. And then when I really need focus time, I don't need to be with the people around me because it does not serve
Yeah.
me in that purpose.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think just a lot of nuance to it as well. But I was already an entrepreneur when COVID happened. So hindsight is 2020. But I launched my agency having clients already. I had kind of a dream scenario there. All I had to do was tell friends and family, and I had contracts. So I went from, the corporate life type of fast pace to entrepreneur type of fast pace, which really is just, as much and as chaotic as you can imagine. But the great part was I definitely was able to control my own schedule when I worked, who I worked with, so much more, which just honestly suits me. And so, yeah, basically, my offerings have shifted over the years. I'm going on 6.5 years of full time in this agency. And generally, I am consultant, and then you kind of add on whatever marketing services that particular business needs. And so it is a different range, but my passion is honestly to be that marketing advisor who can tell a small business owner, hey, if you want a customized formula, like, I'm going to go with what your exact business needs, not give you something cookie cutter. We're going to actually look at your data, at your goals, at your customer, and we're going to do what works. And we're going to do it within the budget that you have. So that's kind of where things have landed with my agency, but it's been a ride. I honestly cannot believe it's already going on 7 years.
I love that though, because you basically built what you were looking for,
Yeah.
unintentionally or intentionally, but you built what you were looking for. I think you and I touched base a little bit about this on your podcast, but like helping the small business owner. That's exactly why I pivoted out of the role that I was in into the role that I am
Mhm.
now, that helping small business owners set up their tech stacks or their systems or whatever brought me more reward and joy than doing it on a big corporate level where the people at the top were making millions and millions of dollars. And I thought, that's what I want to do for the businesses in my community. I want to make them
Mhm.
millions and millions of dollars. I don't. Not that I'm like anti the man, but those people have enough money. They can share a little bit more.
Exactly. I also am coming from a place where I'm kind of wired for waste elimination. That's a lot of times like kind of what I default my focus to. Sometimes we'll say I'm a professional gaps finder. And in corporate life, I genuinely enjoyed every part of that job. What I did see so much of, though, that I would kind of push back on with the sales reps that I was supporting was so much waste. They just would ask for things that had really no plan around it, asking for, somebody to help them get resources for this or that event or manage this or that platform. And I would always go back to, but why? Why are we doing this? How are we using these? And I had to essentially protect a corporate team that was not that big against like these widespread demands that were not very well thought through. And so I took that leaning and that skill experience very much into the agency business that I have now. And what I love to focus on with people, and you, I'm sure, very much identify with this, but I love to focus on what can we eliminate? What can we not
Mhm.
do? Because so many people, when it comes to marketing, they want to jump in with the business and do everything. And they think, the next trendy thing is going to be the way that they skyrocket their revenue. Pretty much every case, I am looking at what's actually happening in reality in real time. And I'm like, okay, the problem with your revenue is that you're trying to do too much. So
Yeah.
what is not working for you? And we're starting from a place of let's get efficient and focused and do less so that you can grow into doing more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's shiny object syndrome. They
It
see
is.
all the latest and greatest, and they think that that is going to be the revolutionary tool. I actually had a referral that was sent over, and she was really just trying to figure out her tech stack. So I'm like,
Yeah.
as we start with most, what all are you utilizing? There was like a laundry list of all these things that we were paying for, and probably 70% of them did the same thing. But she found
Yeah.
one off feature that she wanted to use in each of those one things. And I'm like,
Ugh,
your software alone is costing you hundreds and
I
hundreds of dollars a
cannot
month.
even
Like,
imagine. Yeah.
we can make tweaks to these systems to
Yeah.
fulfill that void, but stop signing up for things. Like, sister, you don't need it. Stop just putting your credit card in. You're giving me anxiety because as business owners, we just want the thing that's going to fix the issue in that moment. And I find
Yeah.
that a lot with especially small business owners because they just don't know what they don't know. And so they lean towards whatever marketing, so whatever targets them with their marketing essentially on these different
Yep.
platforms to solve this issue. And I'm like, it's genius for those people. But if you don't really
Mhm.
know how to work the system that you're investing in, it doesn't do you any good. Like you're just logging in and not even understanding the full comprehension of what that platform is going to allow you to do.
Yeah, and platforms are sneaky too. I mean, this is good for them. They should be doing this, but half of my battle and conversation with a small business owner is they will say, "Okay, well this week I had a sales rep get in contact with me. They're representing such and such platform and they sit on this call or they get this email and the selling is good. And it's
Yeah.
effective because that business owner is halfway sold on this idea. And then I come in and we talk about it and I break it down more. And by the time, we've vetted it, most of the time it's just not really what they need. And so we're also kind of you and I are
Yeah.
battling like the sales pitches from all these different kinds of platforms and companies that the small business owner is getting inundated with all of the time. And so I can understand how it's like really easy to buy into things without fully knowing how is this really going to help my business. And there's nothing wrong with that, but also it's like next time you're talking to somebody, make sure if you're actually getting interested and you really think, okay, we could be on the right track here, I'm like, no, you put your business owner hat on and drill that. person on the phone or get in touch with one of their sales reps, schedule a meeting and make them sit down and give you a true tutorial around how this specifically can work for your business. Make them customize it for you, and I'll guarantee you half of what you ask them, if they can do this or not, they'll be like, "Well,"
Mhm.
and if there's too much, "Okay, well, we can't quite do that. Well, we can do this. This is, how this would work, and it doesn't really fit with your business." Then okay, so it's not just gonna be this magic tool.
Yeah. So before I ask you the next question, funny, very short story. Riverside actually did this to me. So, and this is not a shot. This is not a shot at Riverside, but I will say it ended quite well because they brought their new webinar feature out. And they said, schedule a call with us. We're going to do the webinar feature. And I thought this would be great for using the webinar feature to teach people how to use the
Mhm.
tools. So I scheduled a call and the guy gets on, super nice. And I said, here's what I'm looking to do, da 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 da. And he's like, I probably shouldn't tell you this. And hopefully nobody from Riverside fires this man because he was great. But he was like, I probably
Mhm.
shouldn't tell you this, but it's made for businesses because the price point jumps up $200 and
Yeah.
what you're using it for, it's not going to serve you. He's like, because I kept saying, like, I want to make it a teaching tool. I want to have people log in, then I want to be able to edit it like my podcast, da 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 da. He's like, 200%, that's not what this tool has been created to do. And
Mhm.
if it is, you're going to want to have a full team on to even maximize the cost of what it's going to cost you because that's what it's not been built for the solopreneur. It's been built for the big
Yeah.
business.
Yes.
And I was like, great, because I almost just said, sign me up, Buttercup. But I had to ask
Yeah.
somebody about the features of it. But Riverside, you almost got me. You almost got me really good. And
I
I was like, I'm not paying that price for that thing.
That happened to me with HubSpot, and I still love HubSpot, the idea of it for a larger business. But they
Hmm.
will, promote to solopreneurs, the early stage smaller business as though they are the solution and they are an all in one, and they are not. When you get
Hmm.
in there and you start to set up, like, there's the free trial level, and then there's kind of the next level up, which is more for the solopreneur type business. I had to get into that level and actually start paying. And I'm like, oh, well, surely it comes with, these 5 things that any other platform similar to this would already have. And it didn't. And I was on with a sales rep on chat going, surely you're saying you have automated workflows, but you don't. I'm trying to set up automated workflows on this account level, and this should be like MailChimp offers this for like $15 a month. Are you
Hmm.
kidding me? And the sales rep was like, well, we do have it, but it's the next tier up. The next tier up was like $800 a month. It was like a massive leap. So now I am telling all of these business owners, like, unless you have grown into a 25 employee situation, you cannot afford HubSpot, and they do not offer for the price point. They honestly are sneaky. They do not offer what you think they offer. And they call things automated that are not when you compare it to other platforms. It drives me bonkers. I'm
Oh,
like,
I
I
believe
can't
it.
believe that they're saying this about their product. It is not true.
Yeah. But their marketing, it's you
Yep.
marketing folks. They get
Ugh.
us good. They beat us at our own game. I know, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. But so along your journey, as you're kind of figuring out how to grow and scale your business, obviously you
Mhm.
are built for longevity because you've been doing this for 6+ years. What's one thing that you wish you kind of would have known prior to being on being an entrepreneur and in that
Mhm.
space? Because I think another thing I feel about small business owners is they love their craft, but then there's always
Mhm.
something that they super hate, like bookkeeping or something that's not their zone of genius. So, what's something that you kind of wish you would have known early on? Like, I hate dealing with the IRS and taxes and
Oh
business taxes.
gosh.
It sends me into orbit. But like, what was
Yeah.
your things that you were like? Why does no one tell you this?
Okay, here is I could probably think of many things, to be honest with
Mhm.
you. I have a whole list. And yeah, like the financial side is not my strong suit. I handed off bookkeeping early on. It was like one of the first things I did was hire a bookkeeper. And most people don't realize that can be a very affordable first contract hire. So definitely do it. Look into it. Doesn't cost that much. But I will say that the thing that I say to death on my own podcast that I learned very, very much the hard way was that when you leave kind of a corporate environment and you leave a larger company situation, you very much underrate, I'd say, just the surrounding of people that is so important to your career. So what I would challenge people with is even though you are in business for yourself, you need to continue to think of yourself at a stage in your career on the whole and look at this season. Maybe it's something that you are confident is going to last until you retire. I was at that place when I first launched. I was like, this suits me. I'm going to live in this. I'm going to be an entrepreneur ongoing for the rest of my career, for the rest of, whenever. And my mindset around that has really shifted into, you know what? We go through phases. We can change our mind about whether we want to be a business owner and to what level we want to be a business owner. And that mindset shift makes a lot more space for recognizing that you always need to be in community within your career. And the reason for that is I pulled way back from the connections that will help me build my business. And
Mm.
I was no longer in an environment where I was constantly being sharpened by colleagues and by the challenges of growing a company. And yes, I had different challenges, but I did it too solo and too in a silo and tried to figure too much out by myself. And because with digital marketing and similar services, we are so behind a computer screen. And I am highly introverted. So my default is to just sit in my office behind the computer screen and think that I can run a whole growing business in that setting. And that is not the case. You can launch that way. You can do certain seasons of your business that way. Like I came out of the gate with fantastic traction with clients, but I also have, you know, been through ups and downs of the economy, of consumer mindsets, of people coming out of COVID and being less on their devices and getting outside more. Uh, And I very much with my business felt that and felt the shift these last 6 years. And so the thing that I am kicking myself for that I am trying to be way better at now is just getting in community and staying in community and building business in community, getting into networking groups. I am about to join a mastermind and also just continuing this mindset of like, no, this is a place in my career. And if I want to be taken seriously in my career, then I need to be sharpened by more people interaction and do less just in a silo on my own.
I think that is so good. So, like, one of the things that I always tell people is to delegate, but also this year, I've also really focused on networking in my community, but also in the online space. Like, I've met so many friends in the internet space, and I'm like fully invested in these people's lives, like deep into the thick
Mhm.
of like, I know their kids' names, never met them in real life. Like, it's weird. But like I sat on a call with an online friend this morning and she was showing me the in-depth behind the scene of like Meta Ad Manager, like just showing me
Yeah.
all of like the audiences. I would have never thought to seek out that knowledge myself, but because of that community, she took the time to teach me that piece. And I think it's so underrated for growing and scaling your business.
Yeah, it is very underrated because I think we've kind of I'm hoping we've shifted a little bit away from this and we're kind of evolving out of this mindset. But I think in COVID sphere, even a little bit before that, when things were so heavy digital marketing was trendy and the constant term for marketing is not just online. Like that's not the only way to market, but for some reason, for a few years there, it became everybody's focal point. And when you're in that space, like I was, you are trained to think that everything about growing your business can be done behind a computer. And I am very refreshed to see that I think we're evolving past that. And more business owners and new entrepreneurs are realizing no, there's got to be a mix. Like we are still in a human world, even with AI. I think this is becoming more of a topic of conversation.
Yes.
And people are really thinking this through. And you've got to mix like the human component, the interactions, the person to person with all the capabilities of the online promotion. And I think when you have a balance, then, you've really hit a sweet spot with promoting your brand and yourself and your business. But yeah, I've definitely had to kind of swing from one end to the other. And it's just so valuable to mix both and to continue to see yourself as like somebody who continues to need to grow no matter you know, where you're at in your career, in your experience, in your skill set. We always need to be around people who are going to, hold the bar higher and help us learn new things and maybe even challenge our thinking and our mindset. It's never going to go away. And with marketing too, we've seen very much a change in the trust level of people who are hiring service providers like you and me. There's a definite shift from 6 years ago when I would get contacted by somebody who did not know me and had only seen what I posted on Instagram, and they would trust me. And
There you
now
go.
that is not happening. Everybody that I'm talking to now and sending proposals to, a lot of them, first of all, are local and they want someone local because they're like, I feel like I need to meet in person just to know that we're really collaborating and that you really feel like you're a partner in this business. That's important to people more so than it was a few years ago. And I cannot tell you how many business owners I've talked to who are like, we got really burnt. Like one of the first things they say is, we're tentative to hire a marketer because we got really burned. And here's what happened. And I'm like, gosh, yeah, the trust factor
Yeah,
is more
that's so
important than
hard.
ever.
Well, and not only that, but I think as business owners, you were talking about going out and meeting people in person and things like that. I think it really takes you into a new mindset of this is not a side hustle. Like you have to go in there with confidence and confidence to give your knowledge and say, I'm
Mhm.
an entrepreneur. This is my business. I run a marketing agency. I do operations consulting. Because when you first start, it's like, "Oh, what do you do for work? Oh, I help with X, Y, and Z." It's like,
Yeah.
no, I build out systems for this person and I've had this client. And it's so easy, I think, especially in women entrepreneurs, to downplay what we do. When on the flip side, it's like,
100%.
I I work my tail off to learn about new systems and I'm listening to podcasts and I want to grow so I can help small
Mhm.
businesses grow. And I think getting in front of people and having that trust factor is huge. And then also teaching yourself as a entrepreneur to come in and say what you can do with that confidence level.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the other day I'm coming to the close of 2025. I was like, I feel like I need a confidence booster personally. And so I went back and I wished so much that I had done this so much sooner, but I went back and I pulled emails from when I left corporate from the team that I led. And it was like email after email during my exit telling me, you were a fantastic leader. Like I learned this from you. We're going to miss you so much. And I finally pulled all of that together. Like we're so, I guess we usually are very aware that we need to get reviews and testimonials for our business.
Yes.
But like where's the encouragement just from colleagues and from people in our life, people that we've worked with, just the general like here's what you offer, here's what we're going to miss, here's what you bring to the table. I would say if confidence is a struggle, then like go back. It doesn't matter who it's from or what the context is. It doesn't even have to be related to your work or career. But pull all of that together, put it in a Google Doc and like start your day reading through that.
Yeah, like affirmations, like sometimes you just need
Yeah.
a girl. Like I was actually talking to my friend and I'm like, especially like I don't want to get too scientific here, but like there's certain parts
Mhm.
of your hormones in your cycle where you're just like burn it all down. Nothing's
Yeah.
working. I hate being a business owner. This is terrible. Burn it all down. I'm
Yeah.
trash. It's trash. Nothing that I'm doing is working. I'm done. And then you're like, I'm going to go to bed because I hate it here. And then you like wake up a couple days later and you're like, I'm a genius. Actually, like
Yes.
I invented the internet and I could do X, Y, and Z, da 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 da. So I mean, it like ebbs and flows that whole journey. And we were actually laughing because I was texting my friends and I'm like, I'm at the burn it down phase. Like,
Oh,
I just
no.
need to shut my laptop. And like 2 days later, I was like, it's just hormones. It's fine. We all made it to
Yeah.
the other side. I didn't delete anything. I didn't start
Never mind.
over, but I know. I was like, but I'm just going to shut my laptop
Yeah.
because
Yes.
it's seasonal and hormonal and all the things, but it's
Mhm.
hard when you don't have somebody. I'm in a networking group now, but that doesn't give you that at a girl or don't burn it
Mhm.
down. You can do this or this, or how about this? Because my ideas are not the end all be all. I want somebody to tell me their true opinion. And that way I can take that as feedback and know where to pivot.
Yeah, and we also have to give ourselves grace because there is no business owner that I have ever talked to, even with like the high performing sales reps that I worked with in corporate, they all owned their own local businesses. They were having to sell to their own community. And even in that context, I've never talked to anybody who was like, I always have the best clarity about my own business. It's so much easier to look at everybody
Yes.
else's business or like the bigger brands that are right in front of us all the time or our friend's business and be like, okay, here's where they're strong, here's where their work need to work, here's what can be done to help it. Like we have so much more clarity around everyone else's business than when it comes to our own. So we have to have grace for ourselves because it's just like the curse of being in it. And you're going to sometimes just feel like, I need someone else to speak into this. And that's not weak. And it's totally normal and good to get to that point. We need to be at that point a lot.
Yeah. And it'll come. Well, the clarity
Mhm.
always comes. It just might not be immediate, but nothing I need in life is immediate anymore.
That's
So
so
there you
true.
go.
There you go.
You can pray and pray and pray about it, and it will come in due time.
Mhm.
So as we kind of wrap up here a little bit, tell us kind of what you're currently offering with your business and how
Mhm.
people can connect with you further. Tell them about your podcast, some of your offerings, things like that.
Okay. So my podcast is Savvy Startup Marketer. Lindsay, you were on not too long ago. So go and it's not very many episodes in. You can listen to our conversation on there, which was really, really good. Also super helpful just for the solopreneur, the business entrepreneur. And right now, I have my different levels of contracts, which are all pretty much spelled out on my website, lindseywagnon.com. That's Wagnon. I say it's Wagnon with an extra N. And one of my favorite offerings is the Sales Ready Intensive. It does not require a long term contract, but it's really ideal for somebody who is not very far along in business and they just feel like they've kind of got some ideas and they're doing some level of marketing. They are sort of trying to run with their own plan, but like we said, they just really need another perspective, need somebody to really get in, look at the data, give them a more vetted strategic plan for the next year. That's what I offer in that. And it's half day, not a big commitment, but it'll make you feel like, oh my gosh, I just unlocked a new level in business ownership. And so that can also be found at lindseywagnon.com.
I love it. That's kind of like how it feels like your life is Mario, and we're just like
Yes.
unlocking new levels consistently to like, I have
Yeah.
made it. I have made it. Burn it down. I've remade it to the next level. Like it
Yep.
just ebbs
Level
and flows
unlocked.
as is. Yes, yes. Well, Lindsay, thank you so much for being here. And I can't wait to drop everything in the show notes. And
Mm,
I know we will continue to be internet friends. So I'm sure we will
absolutely.
reconvene at some point. But thank you so much
Yes.
for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.